guys, welcome back. Today we are going to start talking about Lizardmen, the children of the Old Ones. Since the days of their creation, the Lizardmen have been at the forefront of the battle for the world's survival. Their armies are anchored by savage warriors spawned for the sole purpose of war, and augmented with titanic reptilian beasts whose tread shakes the earth. Their enigmatic leaders are powerful wizards that wield magics beyond the ken of mere mortals. While much has been lost over the long ages of warfare against the many foes of order, the Lizardmen still fight on, unleashing their cold-blooded savagery upon any who would stand in the way of their sacred mission. As carved upon the pyramid blocks, this is the tale of the Lizardmen and their defense of the world. The Lizardmen. Beneath totems of gold, the Lizardmen march to war, the ground trembling from the approach of their armies. They go to battle for reasons indecipherable to others, an ancient plan known only to themselves. For they are the rightful inheritors of the world, and it is their sacred, if inscrutable, duty to restore order across the planet. If this means the wholesale eradication of races outside of the Great Plan, then so be it. Utterly enigmatic, the Lizardmen have been stranded by their creators, left to contemplate a world irrevocably changed. Over the millennia, the Lizardmen have sought after the clear guidance once supplied by their almighty creators. Against the growing threat of an age-old enemy, the Lizardmen have slowly come to the realization that there is no gain in lamenting a bygone age, and that the time to enact the Great Plan is upon them. From the temple cities and ancient ruins they issue forth, emerging out of the jungle to coldly implement their vision upon the world. They who would rule the world. Feared and misunderstood by all who know of their existence, the Lizardmen are not a single race, but rather a cohesive society composed of distinct species: Slan, Saurus, Skinks, and Croxagore. All are considered alien by the other races of the world, for they are weirdly impassive, coldly steadfast, and completely without mercy. Yet each of the species perfectly fulfills a different role in the Great Plan. The undisputed leaders of the Lizardmen are the Slan, bloated and barely mobile, toad-like creatures, whose magical powers are greater even than those of the elven lore masters. Of all the Lizardmen species, that's kind of funny because lore masters are only a level 2 caster. Anyways, of all the Lizardmen species, the Slan are the least numerous, with perhaps only a few hundred in existence, and no sign of their numbers ever being replenished. When roused, the long-lived Slan can move mountains with their minds, displaying a mastery over the sorcerer's arts that belies their sluggish physical appearance. Serving beneath the Slan are the reptilian Saurus, the soldiers of the Lizardmen. They are strong and obedient warriors, protected by natural scales and hard, bony plates. In battle, they wield heavy clubs, spiked with jagged stone or metal. Their claws, tails, and powerful jaws are weapons as well, their mouths opening wide to reveal rows of sharp teeth. It is the Saurus' role to attack any whom the Slan declare are foes, and they follow these orders with a single-minded savagery that is frightening and efficient in equal measure. In contrast to the hardened ferocity of the Saurus, who are spawned for combat and guardian duties, the Skinks are more mentally and physically agile. It is they who are the artisans and administrators of Lizardmen society. Although diminutive and skittish, Skinks also have a role on the battlefield, where they make fast and nimble scouts. In potent cohorts, they rain poison darts and javelins upon their foes, proving a useful complement to the Saurus. Skinks are highly organized and the most sociable of the Lizardmen. It is they who direct the Croxagore, hulking bipedal crocodilian creatures whose strength is used to build temple cities and smash foes to a pulp. Skinks also capture and train many of the reptilian beasts found in the surrounding jungles. I have scoured the coasts of 3 continents, yet in all my years of reaving I have never fought anything like the cold-blooded men of Lustria. Their main troops, large bipedal man-lizards, are seemingly immune to pain, fighting on long after foes with any sense would have fled. Time and again I have seen them fight to the last, pausing only to tug crossbow bolts from their thick hides. Even in death I have seen these creatures attack. In one case, a severed head continued snapping at us for 3 full days, and in another, the jaws, once clamped onto flesh, could not again be prized open, but had to be cut away from the victim, a process none could survive. The smaller, smooth-skinned creatures are less hardy, but are no less dangerous. Like little darting lizards, they speed in and out of cover, and their use of poison-tipped weapons has ensured that any that are captured suffer painful death. Worse still, at times the smaller race fights alongside troll-sized reptile men, hulking beasts. Oh goodness, I'm sorry, that was probably very loud. I whacked my mic boom. Worse still, at times the smaller race fights alongside troll-sized reptile men, hulking beasts that can tear a man in two. With their 2-handed mauls, I am sure such beasts could stove in the side of a ship within a few blows. But it is the larger creatures I fear the most. Enormous reptiles the size of giants, ravenous monsters that broke our battle lines and reduced many of our ships to kindling. Now that I have seen Lustria with my own eyes, I believe the tales are true, both of the gold that can be prized out of every ruin, and also of the denizens of that cursed land. Lizardmen, savage in deed and heart. It matters not the price, I will not return to those forsaken jungles again. From the logbook of Vincenzo Corenzo, mercenary capitano out of Tylea. Denizens of Lustria. Although their armies once roamed across the whole world, ages ago the Lizardmen retreated back to their original stronghold, the vast, jungle-covered continent of Lustria. Much of that great land is wilderness stalked by fearsome predators long extinct elsewhere. Over the eons, the Lizardmen have developed or learned to harness many of these reptilian creatures, using them both as beasts of burden and as devastating shock troops in war. Massive armored brutes, such as stegodons and bastellodons, use their bulk to clear pathways and crude roads, plowing over full-grown trees as if they were reeds. Packs of raptorial cold ones are captured and used as mounts for the Saurus. In the skies, skinks can be seen soaring on the backs of leathery-winged reptiles. There are venom-spitting lizards larger than horses, spike-covered beasts, and colossal saurians that tower over even the giants of the north. From the bloodthirsty roar of the carnosaur to the undulating shriek of the troglodyte, the jungles are filled with the primordial sounds of reptilian monsters. The coming of the Old Ones. The origin of the Lizardmen is a tale that goes back to a primeval era, when the world was dark and largely encased by thick sheets of ice. Long before chaos came to the world, in a time before elves, dwarves, or men, the land was ruled by titanic monsters. These enormous creatures battled for dominance, and the warmest regions, those nearest the equatorial band, became the most highly contested zones. Some of these life forms were unthinking creatures of pure instinct. Others were established civilizations that rose and fell in that forgotten age. Of that time of eternal twilight there is little knowledge, although buried ruins and descendant creatures still remain. Sky Titans, for example. Into this brutal age came a mysterious race of godlike beings that plied the heavens in silvered ships. These strangers, known as the Old Ones, Ones came from beyond the stars, where they ruled an empire that spanned not just the cosmos, but time itself. Their technology was advanced beyond imagination. To them, astrology and astronomy, science and magic were all one and the same. Each world in the Old One's empire was linked by a gateway. Some were small portals, allowing an individual to travel inconceivable distances with but a single step. Others, often situated in the cold void of space, were portals so large that vessels the size of moons could pass through. In their travels across the endless expanse of the universe, one planet caught their eye, for they saw in it a unique and boundless potential. The Old Ones decreed that this world would have a center place in their unknowable plans, and stellar gates at either pole were created to allow easy access to this hopeful new colony. Before the designs of their newest planet could be fully set into motion, the Old Ones had to reshape it to better fit their needs. Using powers beyond mortal comprehension, they shifted the planet's orbit towards the warming sun. In time, the ice sheets retreated, verdant forests soon growing to cover over the newly revealed land. Children of the gods. The Old Ones created servants to tend to their needs. Thus was the first spawning of the Slan mage priests begun. They were the Grand Viziers, trusted creatures of prodigious intellect, and the only beings able to withstand direct contact with the near-omnipotent Old Ones and comprehend their teachings. It was the Slan who were to guide the lesser races whose creation would soon follow. For upon the world the Old Ones had encountered many primitive creatures, including those that would one day be transformed into the first elves, dwarves, and men. Powerful and far-sighted, the Old Ones could shape new life forms even from these imperfect materials. They did encounter some creatures whose existence was incompatible with their future plans. As the climate warmed, the Saurus were created to destroy these anomalies, and soon vast armies marched to war, a fight to eradicate those native races that needed to be removed. The Old Ones frequently used the polar gateways to travel the cosmos, but in the meantime they created further spawnings of Slan to execute their plans. While the Saurus brought order to the world with their brutal campaigns of destruction, greater projects were undertaken. By command of the Old Ones, the Slan established the rainforest temple cities in the region that would one day become Lustria. The Skinks were the technicians and the overseers. It was their role to direct the beasts of burden, to haul and heft the heavy loads. In this manner, the Lizardmen built fabulous structures that rose high above the steaming jungles. The Old One's instructions to the Slan were very specific as to the locations where the temple cities and the many other architectural wonders were constructed across the globe. Each one was raised up purposefully to form a vital nexus in a world-spanning geomantic web, an interlinked matrix of natural earth energy that encompassed the planet. Each site was linked to the next, and the Old Ones were able to draw upon this vast reservoir of energy to manipulate untold devices and enchantments of great power. The Slan mage priests were also able to tap into the geomantic web, and with its energies they could shift continents and further aid the unknowable plans of the Old Ones. So long as each link remained connected, they could be used to telepathically communicate with one another over vast distances. By entering a trance, the mage priests could transmit pure thoughts and hold councils of communion. Looming catastrophe. All was not well in the world, however. Distressing signs began to manifest outside the gateways at the planet's poles. They were but portals to another dimension, and it was from there that trouble arose. In the swirling madness of that otherworldly realm, nascent beings stirred, malign intelligences that resented the Old One's trespasses. is where we are going to stop. Bit of a cliffhanger. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.